So, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. This is known as a hyperbole, or an exaggeration used to emphasize a point. Well, what that really means is a healthy diet leads to a healthy body. And what I want to show to you today is how eating healthy can provide you with many significant advantages. First off, everybody knows somebody, unfortunately, who has dealt with the silent killers, what are known as diabetes, hypertension, which is high blood pressure, and heart disease. These three major illnesses can often be eliminated or controlled by simply adhering to a specific diet. Now, diabetes, for an example, foods such as fruit juice, sodas, and ice creams can cause a spike in sugar. This then allowing your blood sugar to increase, and which is obviously not good. And because of that, it can cause something called insulin resistance, which our body is going to stop fighting this, and then leading into a more drastic effect, otherwise known as type 2 diabetes. Now, as far as hypertension, high blood pressure, high salt intake is something that Americans are often susceptible to, and what we need to do is watch the amount of salt that we take in. Americans consume, about 90% of Americans eat more salt than is recommended, and if we were to simply reduce the amount of salt that we took in a day to only 1,200 milligrams, we could save up to $20 billion a year. And that is coming from a fitness government website. That statistic is coming from a fitness government website. So, sodium is often hidden. I mean, where we can find sodium is in canned foods, in TV dinners. So what you really need to do is read the labels, of course, if you wanted to live a healthier lifestyle. And for the last of the silent killers, what I wanted to touch on was heart disease. Now, for heart disease, what you need to pay attention to is trans fatty acids. And these can be found in commercially based products or fast foods. So what you need to look for is choose fat-free, low dairy, and also, again, watch the sodium salt levels that you're intaking. Constant fat foods will give you more cholesterol, and in due time, that can lead to plaque buildup in your arteries, then leading into more tragic events such as heart attacks. A couple of things that you can use to prevent that and build a stronger heart and build that barrier would be some fish, some nuts, some seeds of some sort. This is all building that protection. Now, something that I found extremely interesting throughout my research is how mood can be affected by what you eat. So the impact is not only on the mind, but on the body as well. The Mayo Clinic had stated that not only does physical activity stimulate brain chemicals that leave you happy and relaxed, but eating healthy will allow you to feel better, remain confident, and then overall being able to boost your self-esteem. So, a mood food is what you would call it. A study done by the Journal of Psychopharmacology on the study of chocolate showed that they took two groups and they split them into, well, they took one group and then split them into two. Half of that group woke up every morning and had a chocolate drink, and the other half did not. The half that did reported feeling calmer and overall being able to concentrate more. So this was said to by Dr. Kilham that cocoa boosts brain serotonin. And serotonin is a chemical in the brain. And so for this serotonin, it's often in antidepressants. And what antidepressants do is either maintain the level of serotonin that you have, or it increases the level of serotonin, allowing you to be happier, hence the depression and the whole transition from it. Lastly, Dr. Kilham says, can you eat your way into a better mood? And the answer is yes, you can. So, and you do that a couple of ways. Chocolate, of course, is one, enhancing that serotonin. Also, another thing that you can consume is protein. And what protein does is it keeps your blood sugar stable, allowing you to have more energy as long as you're consuming that food and not skipping out on meals. and then in the grand scheme of things, putting you in that better mood because you're not constantly hungry. I know us college students are susceptible to having a long night, waking up in the morning and skipping breakfast because we're in such a hurry. We're so pressed on time and always on the go. And yeah, it's easy to just revert to going to get some fast food because it's essentially that. It's really fast. So what you need to do is obviously not skip meals. And you need to realize that if you eat healthier, it'll help you cope with stress, it'll help you focus more, and your overall performance will be better. Now, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, a good diet is a nutritional lifestyle and promotes good health, it promotes good health. And within this, the food groups that you need to maintain is not solely just one. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to have vegetables today because that's so much better for me. No, you have to have vegetables, whole grains, dairy. You have to consume a majority of it for the overall health. And lastly, I want to touch on if you don't do these things, what are the consequences of such? And the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services states that unhealthy eating and inactivity leads to 310 to 580,000 deaths, or 310,000 to 580,000 deaths each year in a 2013 study. And this is because the American diet is too high in saturated fats and sodium, and too low in what we really need, like the vitamins and vegetables and whole grains. And the top three silent killers that I had mentioned before were the number 3, 1, 2, and 3 in those categories of deaths. So, all in all, the benefits are tremendous. The impact that it has on your life is overwhelming. And this is why I believe that eating healthy has tremendous benefits to your life. So now, it is up to you to choose.
Oh, I don't care about the coasters. But the one I go to, they're really nice.
All right, so Nick, what did you think? And speak up loud.
His topic area was eating healthier. What I got from his thesis was how eating healthy can help improve overall health. His intro was great with the apple a day to keep the doctor away, and I like his visual aid with the apple. But going into his first main point, I kind of got lost because the transition was kind of unclear, and going into the second and to the third main point, I was still kind of lost because they were still unclear. But he did have great information. All his citations were good. You were speaking a little too fast, especially with the information you were giving, and it was kind of hard to grasp it all. Other than that, I thought it was a great presentation. He ended good with his visual aids, and yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any complaint about the attention device and the exit. I thought that's an okay use of visual materials. I did feel a little bit like there were plenty of opportunities, though, for additional visual information in the presentation that would have helped structure ideas for us or clarified a couple of things. Some things jump out at me immediately. For instance, it seemed like there were a table chart or graph talking about the amounts of consumption of sodium and sugars that we have versus what we need would have been an easy way to visualize that idea and make it easier for us to remember. When you got to the food groups, I just thought, well, there's already a food pyramid out there. That's not hard to imagine. If you could have just visualized that for us, I think that would have made a little bit more sense. I thought at the beginning that the idea of healthier eating is fine. You talk in the first section about the 3 hidden killers, and that's fine. I didn't really hear any source citations being presented in that first section. Once you got to the second section, there was a lot more reference work, and the same thing in the third section. So I think you want to make sure to introduce the sources that you're citing early on in the presentation also. Don't wait until the end. The second section I think is a little problematic because it really feels like it's disconnected from everything else that's in the speech. Mostly you're talking about Gesundheit. Was that a sneeze? Okay, just a cough. Well, then I would withdraw my Gesundheit. Sorry about that. In the second section on mood eating, for instance, really feels to me like it should be a separate topic. It's its own speech subject. Because the first and the third points really deal with those hidden killers and the way they are connected to each other. So I would have either taken those 2 points and developed them and made the speech and leave out that middle section, or take that middle section and do that as a whole separate speech. And I think that that would have fit together a little bit better, because the preview really doesn't emphasize those ideas very much. Like I said, I thought you did a good job citing information on the second and the third points much more consistently. I'm just a little underwhelmed by the visuals. They're okay what you had for attention and making the point that you're at the end, but they don't really add much to our understanding of the subject. All right, thank you.